on the Jungfrau going 900 yards on my head. And there was this ball of snow down the bottom. Get me out of here! And my mother gave him sort of the same speech she gave the sergeant. You're gonna be shot for this, you're not full American. And, you know, anyway, I've never snow skied since then.
You don't want to go to Wintergreen?
Never. I love Wintergreen, I'll never ski it. I want about 150 horsepower in front of me, tandem skis, I'm happy. But as water is a lot more forgiving than that snow was. I mean, every time I looked up, my skis were over my head, and bing, and then they finally came off. Then it was just my boots, and then I lost a boot. You know, can this get any worse? But as the snowball built up, it did get worse. Yes, I really loved it over there. I hold the record on the Jungfrau. Happy guy I was. My mother took me to the Follies in Paris. I was fortunate to get into Switzerland. I got into France.
Folies Bergère?
Yes. But this has something to do with your genes. No. I had more fun with the people in the audience. I mean, I was a real moron. I didn't really realize what was up on the stage. And so I sort of entertained the guests that were there, and they thought it was wonderful that a little kid like me was going to fall in the chair, which would be outlawed in this country. Being the women were very scantily dressed, to say the least. Seashells was the only thing they had. So, yeah, I did that. I saw a field in Holland, 10 million tulips. Do you know what 10 million? In perfect rows by color. It was absolutely incredible. And by the way, that ocean makes me think of something. When we were in Holland at the coast, there was a beach there, and my sister had asked them in the restaurant if they had a jar she could keep, and I said certainly. They gave her a jar, and she went out and she got a jar of water. And my mother said, you know, Carol Ann, that's really kind of cute, dear, but what do you want with a jar of water? There's a gazillion gallons of it. She said, that water probably touched the land of water. I just went over. And we were all homesick. But that Carol Ann kept her job. Don't know whatever happened to her. She's going back to this country. But she was hoping that water could touch all of it. So. And Swiss chocolate is the best in the world. And they do have.
Did you get some wooden cheese?
Pardon?
Did you get some wooden cheese? Don't they wear wooden cheese in Holland?
Oh yeah, well they had everything that you normally think of in the country. By the way, they didn't go around in wooden shoes. That was really the rural people. But I bought a pair. The farmers, you know. Uncomfortable. Well, that's enough of me waxing philosophical. Hey, you want to stop and think about that. 23 feet would be from about that counter over to that wall. Nothing but mortar and stone, you know, and nobody breached it. And the Allied, the bombers did a really good job on it. The guys that put that together in the 16th century, it never dawned on them what a bomber could do, because it flattened them. I got to see Mad King Ludwig's castle, and that was just incredible. They did something on the on television lately about him. There was a, we got to go to Frankfurt, and I went to the train station there, and they had a glass cover that was one of the wonders of the world, a glass covered dome that, you know, had window panes like this, and they used to have to climb up there and clean them. And conservatively, there had to be 25,000 panes of glass to keep the weather out. And I don't know how this happened, but our fighters missed getting about 5 of them, because they shot the Ellis straight out. And you'd be walking a stage years later because of the wind, because of the bullet holes, and all of a sudden you ping, ping, and the glass would drop down, you know, like 100 feet and drop us. You had to be careful. I was up in the Berchtesgaden, the Wolf's Lair, where Hitler, I went to his compound up there, wow. And it was absolutely gorgeous. And he had a picture window. It was probably 20 by 20 by 60 feet in length. And that had panes of glass in it too. And our fighters got all of those.
So, when was Hitler's rule over?
He was killed in 45.
You were there 48, 49.
No, 47, 48. Yeah. They didn't bring in the American civilians until about 46, I guess.
How come you didn't go when your mother went?
They wouldn't allow that, and number one, she had to set up a housing, she had to get all her paperwork done, and she had to be physically in place to ship us into her. You couldn't travel together. I don't know why, I mean, I'm surmising part of that. I didn't really want to go. Caroline was all excited about it. And Caroline and I always argued, but we became very close over there because it was kind of lonely, you know, having to deal with some of the things you dealt with. And learning to speak German, I had to go to an American school, but you were required in the first grade to take German. Because they figured you're there, you're living with them, you're going to have to deal with them. So they required the American children to. My mother didn't have to take it, but I had to take it. And let me give you an example of something. You want to talk about economics. Every adult over the age of 14, this was the government's, the Army's rules, was entitled to a carton of cigarettes a week. They cost us $2. Okay. My sister qualified for a carton a week. She didn't smoke. My mother smoked about a pack a week. So we had 19 packs of cigarettes. We could sell a pack of cigarettes to the Germans for 10 marks.
How much is that?
That would have been $3.33. A pack times 19. And it cost us $4. So what my mother did, I got an allowance in 47 of 50 cents American a week, and that was paper money. You couldn't use coins, paper money. I got 50 cents American and 10 German marks. So I got $3.33, right, plus 50, so I was getting $4 a week. The average German was making $15 a week. And here this snotty little kid I was getting a third of what he was making.
They paid $3.
Oh, they did. I mean, we'd go into the store, could buy anything we wanted. And my mother bought a silver lighter. I often wonder what happened to that, but I think Caroline got it. It was a silver lighter. And the only way the Germans would sell to you is you had to give them the money and silver so they could build another one. So my mother had 50-cent pieces, 25-cent pieces when they were real silver in the old days. And you had to give them the weight in silver, and then you paid for the workmanship. So a lighter like that, a very nice lighter, was maybe $25. We would give them weight in silver, maybe worth $5, and then $20 for the balance. And you had a magnificent hand tool lighter. But it isn't something that, you know, from a social aspect, from we felt very safe there. You know, I was 3 miles up the road from 50,000 troops. You had to put up with little incidents, you know, nothing big. The kids would throw things at the bus, and the MPs weren't going to shoot them for that. If they threw a brick, they would. I took a trip. My mother wanted to go to Frankfurt, and that's where the big PX was. Another thing we could sell in the black market, every American dependent over there was entitled to a box of chocolate. It was 24 bars. But it's hard for anybody to believe, but I didn't eat more than 1 candy bar a day. My sister, because of zits, wasn't going to eat any. My mother ate hardly any. But you could sell those to the Germans for 3 marks a candy bar. That was $1 a candy bar, right? We paid a nickel for them. So, I mean, we were rolling in the bread. And the Germans, they couldn't get chocolate, so we sold it to them. Our maid we gave our maid an override. She handled the cigarettes in the, we had a full-time maid, she handled cigarettes and chocolate concession, and she got 10%. So my mother didn't care. We didn't care. We got to take all these trips just selling cigarettes and chocolate. It was a lot of money. Because my mother was making, I would doubt seriously, she was making more than $6,000 or $7,000 a year. Housing provided, maid provided, transportation provided, health provided. And we did, you know, easily $100 a week on the black market. You know, so that was another $5,000. So we got to go everywhere. But you got to see a lot of the settings. Well, anyway, we went to Frankfurt, and all you had to do was show your identification card, and it was public transportation to Americans. The Germans had none. And so she wanted to go to the big PX, do some special shopping. We get on there, and there's a roadblock. And the roadblock has got 3 tanks sitting there, constabulary tanks, had a big gold band around the turret, a big gold Jeep. There's 8 Jeeps, 50 caliber machine guns on the Jeeps. That was constabulary. They get on the bus, check everything, everybody's AGO card, throw this German off who didn't have permission to be on the bus. They had to have a written thing to the military commander. And then the guy says to my mother, "Ma'am, when the bus pulls forward, make sure your son doesn't look to the right." I mean, how stupid can you be? That was the first thing I was going to do was look right. And I said, "Now don't look right there." "Yeah, Mom, sure, I won't look right." When the bus pulls up there, there's a German car laying cockways in the ditch. 3 bodies. Made Bonnie and Clyde look like a single shot killing. It was a sieve. The car ran the roadblock. And the guy's just sitting there with 4 Jeeps with 50 caliber. You know, they don't chase, they don't run after them, kill them. And they were just waiting for the meat wagon to pick them up. Wonderful sight. Bonnie and Clyde died easily compared to them 4 people. There must have been 1,000 rounds in that car, 50 caliber. And I mean, it's awesome. And then they had all the trials. They were hanging people. Nuremberg had started. They had beer hall owners that would poison GIs, thinking they could get away with it, and they would prosecute them and hang them. But,
Did you see anything of the concentration?
no, my mother wouldn't let us go there.
Did you know what was going on?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's what made Nuremberg such a focal point, is because of the atrocities that the German military machine and or political machine did to the people. That's what made Nuremberg so important, to make sure that never happened again. Most of those people were executed strictly on what they did as war criminals. You know, they were doing it for accidentally shooting somebody. They were Schaefer. And by the way, an enjoyable afternoon, we had second cousins who were Schaefers that lived in Freiburg, Germany, and my mother found that out through her family, and so we contacted them through the military, you know, and it's an MP say, "You know, you're gonna meet this woman, or she's gonna shoot us, our commander," and but they didn't know. We went over and had a nice lunch with them, and understood a little bit of what they said. Dan said nothing of what we said, but it was nice to know you had kin over there. I mean, they were just very civil, nice people, very pleasant people. But it's something that is. Oh, I don't guess I could ever say I didn't want to have that experiences, but they weren't all good. You know, it's not like living 14 months in Bermuda. You know, there was a lot of hostile things going on, and the Marshall Plan, they were trying to get that worked out, and they were trying to get Germans, you know, more responsible. But And I guess you had to have a period of time where they weren't going to have any authority, and then you would ease it back. Now, the German, obviously they had their courts, they had their police, you know, they would do everything as if they're doing today. And by the way, that all changed in 51. They had complete autonomy in their government. The GI did something over here, he went to the German court. But we couldn't get it in those days. None of our GIs did. And technically, I was GI in government issue. You were the responsibility of the government.
So did you live with Grammy in Germany? When you came back, did you live with her all the way through high school?
No. I came back here, and in the 6th grade, I went to school with my father in Arlington. The 7th grade with my mother in Chicago. No. 8th grade, no, 7th grade was in Virginia. Freshman was in Chicago. And I told him, I said, I really don't like this up here. I'd rather live with my father, and so I came back to Virginia and finished 3 years in Virginia, in Manassas. And I was a sophomore, junior, and senior. But knew, like Martha and Walter, I knew them in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
And,
Did your dad ever marry?
yes,
Yep.
he married Jenny.
She was a sweetheart.
Huh?
She was a sweetheart.
She was different. My mother was really the fortunate one. I mean, she married a really wonderful guy, Aubrey Atwater. He was a great fellow.
But you didn't live very long.
Well, considering he was older than she was, I mean, he died of natural causes, I guess. But surgery, he didn't survive the surgery. It kind of bothered me the way his doctor did. He had cancer. He was in his late 70s. And,
He was a lot older.
yeah, he was a lot older than she was. And he died in the surgery, and the doctor made the statement, he said the surgery was a success, but he died of complications. And I said, do you have any idea how stupid that sounds? And he said, well, no, you don't understand. I said, no, you don't understand. Had you not cut him, would he be alive today? Well, yes, but he would eventually die. I said, that's not the question. Would he be alive today? He said, yes, he would have been alive. I said, then he died from your knife. You know, how complicated you want to make that? If you hadn't cut him, he'd have lived. If you did cut him, he died. Therefore, the cutting killed him. I don't, doctors have a funny way of making that complicated. It's very simple as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, they had a good life together. Had a good life.
So that was after Germany.
That was after Germany. She had dated him before that. And then they didn't get married until she got back from Germany. She didn't get married until we returned from Germany.
And what was his name?
Aubrey Atwater.
Honey.
Aubrey? Yeah, she always called him Honey.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of like I call Pookie Pookie.
Yeah, but no, she always called him Honey. Always. And so I never knew what his name was.
It was Aubrey.
So did you call him?
Had y'all met him?
We didn't know.
You
He
didn't
was
meet
dead
him.
before I was alive.
Yeah.
How long were they married before he died?
I don't really remember. I mean, it was sometime in the 40s. He must have passed away sometime in the 60s.
So you just knew him by honey because the pictures?
Well, from the way Grammy talked.
Yeah, because I
I
was.
knew what it meant.
60, 61, something like that. He was dead by the time you were born. You and I are the only two Yankees in the crew. You were born in Chicago. Rest of them are Virginians.
I don't know what you are.
Yeah. He was an interesting guy. They had a boat up in the Chain of Lakes. And at the end of the season, all the bars would close for the season. They had a special day for that. And it's the only time he would let me drive the boat, because he visited every one of them and had a goodbye drink with them. I must have made 11 stops that day. and then drove him back to Chicago. I mean, he had good sense for that. But normally he wasn't a big drinker. But he did think that was an honorable thing to do, and so I got to drive the DA. DE star A. Dolores Atwell.
Huh.
Mrs. Ryder was on that boat that went for a visit. It was a cabin cruiser. And you opened the door right next to the wheel, and you went in there. There was a head, 2 bunks. But because of pollution on the Chain of Lakes, they ordered all the heads to be sealed. And the Coast Guard up there, which was an navigable water, they had jurisdiction over you. They stopped you. Well, there was a $100 fine if that seal crimped on by the Coast Guard wasn't on your head, on the pump handle. So we go out, and Mrs. Ryder and Gail they like to tipple. She tipples enough, she decides she's got to go to the bathroom, and we're in the middle of Lake McKinnon. And she said, doesn't this boat have a toilet? And we said, not when it works. You can't do it. My mother says, well, the only thing I can think of is, we got a wastebasket in there. If you're going to go, use the wastebasket. So she goes in, closes the door to the cabin, comes out. And my stepfather never caught on to this too quick. She comes out with the wastebasket. And before he can tell her, all you got to do is pour it over the side, which is what the Coast Guard would write him up for. She decides to go to the stern of the boat and throw it into the wind.
Stern meaning?
The rear. And just as she hollers, not into the wind, she tosses it up. Mike Kelly was with me. I mean to tell you, we dove overboard. My mother wouldn't do it. My stepfather was so mad. He wanted to throw her off the boat. I mean, she covered it. So we did have some soap water. He made her clean the deck in the boat. So get the sponge. And Melissa said, you can't do that. She's been drinking. He said, I hope she drowns. But she's cleaning this boat up. So Mike and I swam around, and he said, you boys stay out there and enjoy yourself till this woman gets that boat picked up. So we paddled around. And we paddled around for about 20, 30 minutes, but she works down the inside of the boat. Man, he was hot. So we put the ladder over the side and climbed back up in the boat. And she was sitting there crying, oh, I'm so sorry I did that. You look at it, keel haul you old cow. Her husband was a Shriner, and really a wonderful guy. And he had a big Buick Roadmaster, and we were up in Akron one day. And
did he ride those little cars too? In all the parades.
Yes. We were going someplace, my mother, Mrs. Ryder, and Gail. And they said, well, let the kids sit in the front seat. So I said, okay, and we're driving someplace. I've never been in a car that had air conditioning, and I just thought this was a great piece of equipment. And I'm looking over, and underneath the steering column is a bicycle horn held on with a strap. And I said, Mr. Ryan, does this car have a horn? He said, absolutely. And I said, well, isn't that a bicycle horn underneath the steering wheel? He said, sure it is. I said, well, what in the world would you need a bicycle horn for? He said, well, when I get into traffic, and he said, the light changes, he said, I'm a very impatient person. If the car in front of me doesn't move, he said, I just reach down and I honk the bicycle horn. And I said, well, Mr. Ryan, I said, why don't you just use the regular horn? He said, what? And had the guy come back and beat me up. He said, I got the windows up, the air conditioning on. I go, oh, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. He said, but he never hears me. But he said, I get to vent my rage and I don't get beat up. I mean, now listen. The guy he was wise. That's a wise man.
So they had road rage back then, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Big city.
Yeah.
That's what I told him I'd do. See, I get in there and I'm like, you idiot, get out of the way, what's wrong with you? I'm
Get a
sitting
bicycle
there
home.
But I never blow my horns or blink my lights. He starts blinking his flashing his
I
lights.
do
I said, they're gonna
not.
kill you one day. He says, well, you do it. I said, no, nobody hears me do it but me.
I've only got one real big quirk. I don't like to be tailgated. And the best way to cure that's just hit the brakes.
Yep.
And then when they nosedive, you know, oh, you okay back there? Sure. Huh? You said something was evil.
That'd be nice and
She was talking about birds.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Christina likes to threaten my life. When I'm driving, she reaches over and honks the horn.
Tell the story of Granddaddy Padre history class.
Oh, man.
I was thinking those are my favorite stories when he was in high school.
It was geography. Well, one day, Granddaddy Byron, my father, was in geography class, and he had to break wind. And he knew it was going to be loud, and he knew it would be over the teacher's voice, so he gets this bright idea that a geography book was a big book in the old days, like this. So he picks the book up, and he times it that he'd bang it on his desk, but then let it go. Unfortunately, the banging of the book and the gas did not coincide with just a big bang, and then and everybody, he drew everybody's attention to his.
Look this way before I let her go.
Yeah, that got him out of the room. Uh-oh, Dr. Bible's at work again. Anybody got a straight pin?
Oh yeah, he's
Sewing needle?
got it right there.
What, okay, now you have to back up and tell the Carol Ann cat story.
Oh, yes.
Since we've interjected that 8 times but never told the story.
Crystal has to
We took a trip one time, and Carol Ann had a 1-year-old cat. And my dad said to Carol Ann, he said, I want to tell you something. Cats do not travel in cars well at all. He said, I'm going to get a box. I'm going to put air holes in it. He said, I'm going to have a little blanket in there for your cat. And you leave that cat in the box till we get to your grandma's. Do you understand it? She said, yes, I understand, but I don't know why the cat has to stay in the dark. He said, because cats get motion sickness and they will throw up. And he said, I'm not stopping because your cat's puking. So he said, do not open the box for any reason. Do you understand it? Yes, Daddy. She and I were in the back seat. Boring trip. Dad driving his old car. Cat's making some noise. And Caroline said, I said, you don't do that. Do not let that cat see daylight, Daddy said, that ain't gonna work. Trees going by. No, I just don't want to leave it. Caroline, do not do that. And I told her that 3 times. She opened the lid of that box up. She said, Dad, there was no difference. Cat stuck his head up, saw the telephone poles, the traffic going by, felt the motion sickness, and puked in the box. And Carol Ann was sitting there holding the box, looking at her cat puke, and she puked on the cat. I said, yo, Daddy, you ain't gonna believe this. You got two pukers back there. Carol Ann, did you open that? Look what that cat's doing. Look what you're doing. The cat's fur was just stuck to it, like it goes in a lake. And my daddy had to pull into a gas station, hose out the car, hose out the cat, hose out Carol Ann.
Did she get in trouble?
Oh no, my dad was very understanding. Dealing with all that puke, yeah, he was really delighted. Gratefully, most of it was in the box. My dad had to go to bed one time at Granny Bibles. And I said, I don't want to go to bed yet. I said, everybody's else having fun. He said, no, he said, you're going to bed now. And I said, I don't want to. He said, well, you are going to. He said, start getting ready for bed. So I took one of my shoes off and I threw it on the floor.